11:45.
We're live, Alan. Hello, Louise. Hi, Katrina. Okay.
Hello.
If we get through this next 45 minutes with a
45 minutes,
webinar, I will be amazed. Okay, I'm Angela, MD of the Recruiting Gym. This is Ask the Coach. This is one of my favourite webinars to do every other Friday lunchtime, although we weren't here last Friday because of the Queen. We sort of let her have that day.
Aww.
I know. And so we're here today with three of my favourite people in the recruitment industry. So thank you for joining me, because we did have to change dates. Katrina was the only OG. Thank you for sticking with it. The others
Hang on.
What's an OG? Do I want to be an OG?
Oh dear. Now, you've all done Ask the Coach before, but I do need to explain it because we've got quite a few new people that have joined us. We're live on YouTube for the first time today. Louise, you'll be impressed. We're also live on LinkedIn as well. I'm saying that with confidence. Charlotte and Blake are marketing people. Fingers crossed. You can let me know in the chat if we are actually live on those, because that hasn't always worked this week either. Technology's been a nightmare. Right, let's get going. This is Ask the Coach. There's 6 questions we've gathered from the last 3 weeks, from our courses, from our delegates, from client meetings that I've had, conferences that I've been to, any discussions of things that are going on right now. So they're always pretty much up to date what's going on. We stick them in here. You can also ask your own questions. So if you have got a question you want to ask, stick it in the chat and we'll get to it. You get to vote on them though, because this is 45 minutes. You might not have 45 minutes. So while the coaches introduce themselves, you go to the ask the question bit at the bottom. You'll see there's 6 there. If you're on LinkedIn and YouTube, you'll have to come into Crowdcast. The link will be there for you to come and join us here to vote if you want to. If not, join us for the whole time, that's fine. So if you can vote on the question that you would prefer to be answered earlier on. If not, we tackle them 1 to 6 and we're happy with that as well. Right, while you're doing that, let's find out about the coaches. So Katrina, I'm coming to you first. If you could give us your short intro, please, who you are.
So I'm Katrina Collier, and no, I'm kidding. I'm not going to do that to you. I have been in the recruitment industry since 2003. I have been agency, in-house training, and then I wrote the Robot Proof Recruiter, which I'm very proud of. And if you've already got this one, edition 2 is coming soon. And I now run workshops that are all around improving recruitment and candidate experience, and I tend to run those in-house rather than agency side in general.
Fantastic.
That's about it. Is that quick enough? I tried to eke it out longer, but okay.
It's perfect. Louise, you're up next.
I was just getting my badge, which goes for I've had these made up especially for you, Katrina.
Yay! I am
not a good feedback.
And I've also got one which says professional stalker. Less sure about that. Anyway, my name is Louise Triance. I run the UK recruiter community. You keep seeing me live on every single show, but I haven't been on this for ages, and I'm super excited by it. So I'm pleased to be here with you all.
Fabulous. Thank you for that. And yes, I knew we couldn't get to the end of the week without another technical issue. So it seems like LinkedIn Live isn't wanting to play ball. I think that's our next move. You're right. We'll get Restream onto it. Alan, you've probably got no idea what I'm talking about there. Over to you.
What? Me now, live on YouTube. Hi, YouTubers. Yes, Alan Clarke. I'm a recruitment trainer. I've been doing it since 1995. I haven't written a book, but I did write a very big list of things that I need to do later on.
Okay. You are a list man, a checklist man, I must admit. You're very organised. One of the most organised recruiters I ever met. So people can learn a lot from you. Thank you for that. Let's just see if the questions got mixed around a bit. No, we're all good. So, Alan, coming to you first then.
What do you want to know?
Question 1.
How much research?
How much research should a recruitment consultant do into a company before they make their first approach? This was a question on Tuesday.
Here you go. There is not a black and white answer to this, nor is there a finite number of minutes that you need to have researching on a call. Why? Because of the variables. And also, when you say the first approach, are we assuming that it's going to be a telephone call approach, or is it going to be a LinkedIn message? Is it going to be a video link? I don't know. Are they running a temp desk or a perm desk? Is it construction? Is it investment banking? It depends upon the skills, the experience, the competence, the knowledge of that individual. So I'm not going to be able to say to you 20 minutes. You've got to be a keyboard warrior for 20 minutes before you pick up the phone. No, as long as you've got the decision maker name, the telephone number. Don't do those calls that we used to do when we first started in recruitment, which was, oh, hello, could you put me through to whoever looks after your recruitment, right? No, don't do that. There's so many ways you can get names now. So get a decision maker name, get their telephone number, and know what the company does, right? Don't call up HSBC and say, what exactly do you guys do? So know what the company does, look at their about page, and if necessary, look at something that's in the press, something that's up to date about them that they're doing, or the marketplace. So at least you can have a decent opener to your approach or call. And obviously check the database just to see if there's been anybody in the company historically that might have approached these people. Check with a colleague as well. It is absolutely pointless doing 20 minutes worth of research and then making your call and then finding out that they're not going to take your call or they don't use agencies. And I think the more keyboard warrioring we do, the less time we have to actually engage with the potential client. And if you don't do it, somebody else will. So it's not a black and white answer, because it really does depend upon all those variables that I listed out earlier on. But a few key points before you pick up the phone and make the approach, so you do come across as credible and you do demonstrate that you have done at least a modicum of research.
Definitely. Now, Katrina, building the relationships, making sure that we're not robots, obviously key to you. What have you got to add?
Well, I unmuted when you were talking about desk phones, because I thought it'd be fascinating if anybody had a phone that you could cold call into. But it was more when I have been in-house, I have had agencies sell in CVs of people who, one, didn't give their permission for their CV to be sent over, and two, they weren't actually available. They weren't even looking for a job. So please don't do that. It's so incredibly unprofessional. It probably breaches all of the data laws as well, but mostly it reflects on you that you're not going to look like a professional recruiter, because someone might turn around and go, oh my gosh, I want to interview that person, and of course they're not available. They hear that story all the time. So yeah, please don't do that. That was what went through my head.
Yeah, no, I mean, obviously everything needs to be within the law that we do this. So if you're not aware, and actually that was a conversation. I'll put that on for the next one, and I'll get probably Declan, who's our employment lawyer, on, because they, in their onboarding induction, no idea that they needed to cover employment law in any way, shape or form, and all the discrimination acts. And I think there was 14. Alan, you and I did an amazing video once doing all the acts, didn't we?
We started off with about 9, but I'm sure you made up some.
There are a lot.
Angela's law.
Okay. Definitely. Okay. Brilliant. So yeah, there is no obvious answer, but there is, do some research and make sure you've got something interesting to say so that you come across as credible, as you said, and stick within the law. Right. Question 2 then. Louise, I'm coming to you. I don't know what you were doing. What are you up to?
I'm sorting out my plant while we're talking. Multitasking.
Okay. Right, it's Pride Month, but I don't want to come off. I don't want to do anything to support it that would come off as insincere. So this is someone that's not in that world, doesn't really, but does want to support and wants to show support, but thinks, well, I've never really spoken about it, done it. It's not part of my profile in any way, shape, or form. So, what would be acceptable from someone that's not usually in this arena?
So I've got a resource to share, because if you don't know how to authentically talk about pride and acknowledge, then you should maybe check out this document here, which is really handy resource. But what I would say is probably 3 things. One is, make sure you understand what's going on. If you're not in this world, make certain that you do understand what pride is about. Get your terminology correct. Don't let it be an excuse, oh, it's not my thing. so I've got some of my words wrong. Make sure you work really hard to get what you do correct. Second thing is, if you don't think you get it, then work a bit hard as an organisation and make certain that by this time next year, it is something you can authentically, honestly talk about. And then my third thing is, if you're not doing anything right, talk about people who are. So share stories from your community. So clients who are doing an amazing job, share their stories. In that resource I've just put in the chat, there's some really, really good recruitment books, which you might want to reference. So you could talk about how, as part of Pride Month, you are equipping your own team with these resources. So these are the books we've bought for our team. These are the resources we've invested in. This is what our client's doing. So if you can't talk about what you're doing yourself, elevate others, and go down that route. That'd be my tip.
I love that. And that reminds me, I was the same with Ukraine earlier in the year, and actually it was Katrina, it was your post. Oh, I'm welling up now. And it was just sharing that as far and wide as I could, because I couldn't put all of that information and that detail in there, but you did that for me. So yeah, if it's not you, find someone that is, and like you say, elevate them. Alan, did you have something to add to that as well?
Yeah, for me, it's always about, when people ask me a question, I first of all challenge the question, because you put on there about would that be acceptable from someone who's not usually in this arena, and you think, well, what arena are we talking about? It's almost as if they're
not LGBTQ themselves,
right? So okay, so we put a label to them, and I think for me, I'm on planet Earth, and I share it with a whole bunch of other humans, and I think it's so easy to stereotype and put labels on people. And personally, I think that's where the problems start. And I also see that a lot of people jump on these sorts of things and have the rainbow, have the colourful flag, because they see it as something to do as a marketing exercise. And I think if you are fearful of coming across as insincere, then you probably don't understand it, as Louise just mentioned, or you don't support it, in which case don't do anything with it, because people will see insincerity an absolute mile off.
Yeah.
Sorry if that sounded a bit like a boomer.
No, but I agree with what you're saying, and I think if I don't put any rainbows up, I don't do any of that, but anybody who is if we're going to label in that community, knows that I'm like you, Alan. People are people. I dislike people based on their behavior, not how they feel about the world. But actually, if you look at Greg McCaw, I'll stick his post in. He did a great post, and the reason I loved it was, they were talking about the company and the colours and all of this, but what he was saying, which I thought was the important bit, was that they're rolling out some training. They're releasing their first allyship playbook, and it was like, so they're really doing something that'll be there 365 days a year, as opposed to just oh my God, sorry. I'm just being so distracted by the Labrador. He's now doing laps with me. Speaking of behaviours.
He came in with a toy, I think, didn't he? He was like, no, it's time to play.
Well, what was funny was Louise has just talked about her plant, and I've just had a plant delivered, and thank goodness I was on mute at that moment, because they were barking their heads off. So it's all going on. Anyway, it should now be calm. The Labrador has been called away. I shall go back to mute.
We will say from there. Okay, so I think definitely some key tips there, and it's not just about Pride, is it? In those weeks, it's about everything to do with if you want to support a cause, whatever that cause may be, either do your research and find out, or allyship, link up with people that are in the know. We got questioned last year, have you got much stuff on diversity, equality and inclusion? And actually I had to put my hands up and say, no, we haven't got much on there. So we made it our focus for Q1. We had so many guests on that were relevant to that. Fabulous. That could be on Book Week for the autumn one, if we can get hold of Shireen. Lovely, thank you for that. And therefore, really important to open your eyes and have the discussions and start the conversations. And if you can get training in there as well, that will link lovely to our question 4. But let's go to question 3 first. So who we got on this? So Katrina, coming to you. Recently heard of the term career recruiter and industry recruiter. I've been in it 33 years. I've never heard those two terms. So I'm interested in this as well, what your views are. So what's your views on those jobs?
Okay, well, I know what a career recruiter is. I have no idea what an industry recruiter is. that's an enigma to me. So I'm not even going to attempt to answer that. A career recruiter to me is somebody who stays in the industry, stays hands-on frontline recruiting their entire career. So I think of Amy Miller, for example, Ray Murphy, who's I don't know where he is. He trained me 300 years ago, and is still, he's still in the industry, 30 years hands-on. That to me is what a career recruiter is. Whereas, say, the four of us have been hands-on recruiter and now have chosen other ways to contribute to the industry because we decided that we didn't want to do the front line anymore. And on that, I think to be a career recruiter takes some thick skin and some awareness that nobody owes you anything. We do have to spend a lot of time trying to get in touch with people about a job that they're probably not interested in, and they don't know you are applying, all these sorts of things. So they have to be
You've
quite
had this as an issue, haven't you?
Yeah, I have. And it's,
Yeah.
well, I found it kind of fascinating, and I was called, what was I called? Rude and condescending. And I was probably replying to the very arrogant post about people don't reply, therefore they're being unkind. And to me, it was, well, people don't reply for like numerous reasons. And if you're going to be concerned about people not replying, you're going to burn yourself out. If you're going to get stressed that, oh, well, I sent X a message and they haven't replied, it's just going to burn you out. Most of the time we are spending time messaging people. We're pulling people through the recruitment process. We're in contact with them and they ghost out. This is just part of the job. And those career recruiters have got boundaries in place. They've got mental health in place. They just manage to stay frontline recruiting, which is a tough job. No one's denying that. But I think my fascination with that particular post was, wow, you're expending all this energy over something you have no control over. But an industry recruiter, does that mean they are like, I'm in the tech
what they were
industry?
saying? Because I was the same. I didn't know the difference, and the terminology was used as a career recruiter was the person that helps you generate your career. So it's the people that help you at the start, those graduate recruiters, as we might see them of. So like a careers advisor, careers officer, but a career recruiter getting you started. The industry recruiter was determined as someone that sort of works in a niche and works in a specific industry, and they're sort of seen as a subject matter expert. I think these two terms have been made up recently, and they've just come out because none of us would it. Alan, have you heard of it?
Well, when that description you just given of the career recruiter is what I understand it to be, because I work with headhunters, and there was one particular guy who they placed somebody straight out of their PhD, got them a quants analytical role working for an investment bank, and basically over the next 12 years, Martin pretty much managed this guy's career. He would keep in touch with him. In 12 years, he placed him 3 different times in 3 different banks, and he would keep in touch each year and say, look, now's not the time to move. The marketplace isn't right for you. Get this under your belt where you are right now. And he would very much manage his career. And I think in total, it was probably in excess of about 200 grand's worth of fees that he had out of this one person over 12 years, placing them into banking roles. So for me, he was a genuine career recruiter saying, look, this role won't take you in the career direction that you want it to be. Hold on for a moment. Let me put the feelers out in the marketplace. And I'll do that for you. And I think the industry recruiter, go on. Oh, sorry, no,
I would call that almost like a candidate-driven recruiter or a executive career. They
were executive search. They were executive search headhunters. An industry recruiter, a specialist and not a generalist, a niche, work in a vertical, any one of those. But
so I love the idea of someone being that caring for candidates. I love that.
It comes across then like as you're more their managing agent at that point, isn't it? So if we think of sort of celebrities, football, sportsmen, whatever, they have those people that are responsible for finding their next move. What's their next slot? And they're getting 10% all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
So
but we don't charge.
What was that?
But we don't charge.
We don't charge the candidate, no.
No, we don't charge the candidate. So no, so absolutely. Career recruiter, bring it on.
It is a bit like a talent agent, isn't it? Yeah, I like that idea.
Yeah, and again, that's all about relationships then, isn't it? You're not approaching them saying, hey, look, I've got another job. It's when they come back to you. And I'm always pushing that with perm, contract, whatever. You want them to keep coming back. Even temporaries. We used to love the students in the summer because we knew we got them for 2.5 months every summer when they were at university. So therefore, them coming back each time and working with you. And I'm saying it now, used to hate it. There were agencies in our town that would have a sign up saying no students, like no blacks from the 50s, no students, no Irish. It was horrendous that's how they were treated. And yet we were like, no, we'll find you work. We'll find something you can do. If you want to work, we'll get you work. And then them coming back and that. And then you never know who their mum was, who their dad was. They were CEO of this big company. And we used to get that where they would call us and go, you actually really looked after my Johnny, whatever. So I want to talk to you about what you do. Treat everyone.
Talk to Stephen. Stephen placed the same candidate 7 times. The candidate didn't want to move, but Stephen just wanted a fee out of it.
7 times. Love to know how many years that was, Stephen, because that would give us an indicator 54. As well. With what did you say?
54.
No, 7. There was no client loyalty there. It was 7. Every year he placed him.
Yeah,
as the rebate finished, excellent. Get him out.
Fantastic. Right. Okay. Let me just do my bit where I end the question. I've been a bit rubbish on that. I'm going to have to change all the timings on it because I've been getting the wrong times on that. Right. Next up. What amount of money or percentage of profits should I be using to invest in my people? Go on, Alan.
I have absolutely no idea.
Well, I do from the past. Because when I worked at Lander Associates, Fiona Lander always used to say you should be spending either 1% of your turnover or £1,000 per person. Now, this is 18, 19 years ago. So I did think when I saw that one, I probably should go and have a look, actually. And I have found this information. I'm going to put it in the chat. Investment in training. This is from a government survey, so it's produced on gov.uk. I'll put the link in as well so you can see the whole survey, but let's see what you think about these notes. Ooh, there's a lot.
Angela, I've got something important to say on this. It was a bit flippant of me, I must admit. Hello, investing in people. Are we assuming then that this question is purely around training? Because investing in your people is not just about putting them in a classroom. This is about investing in their mental health and having wellness Wednesdays, ergonomic keyboards, orthopedic chairs, hydraulic desks, incentives, coffee machines, a beer tap. So there's so many things that we can do to invest in and with our people that doesn't involve sticking them in a classroom.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. It is everything. It's not just, but the mental health and well-being, I consider part of L&D now. I wouldn't have done 5 years ago. I do now. I think you might be muted, Alan. I'm not sure if you're talking.
Who, me? I'm not talking. No, that was just me pulling a funny face. No, but the thing is, I know, for example, when my son had to submit, because he was up with the London Bridge attacks, and his bank actually paid for him to see a counsellor. So, that was all part of his mental well-being. I wouldn't class that as L&D.
No, I would agree with that. So this is everything, although this was the bit I could find. So that's why I'm sharing.
That's way too much to read.
And interesting that the question doesn't say that, does it? It says, like, invest in my people. And I agree with the counselling. And I think a lot of people need coaches as well. Like, I go back and I always talk about my childhood trauma. Now, if I hadn't worked through it myself, I was dreadful to manage because I was still protecting myself like I was as a child. And it's like there's lots of people in the workforce who could really do with a coach in the corner or some counselling and stuff. I don't know that necessarily it should be work's responsibility. That's a huge can of worms I'm opening up there. But I think that people can be guided to start, and then they'll probably take themselves on the rest of the journey. But what you put into your people, you'll get back. Loyalty, retention, profit, referrals in, all that sort of stuff.
Now, I was quite surprised actually to see that this investment it was in training on there, but the last stats they've got is for 2019. Not surprising. 2020 and 2021 was probably skewed anyway, but it was 42 billion in the UK, so that's bigger than the recruitment industry. I hadn't realised that, but the average. So we have got a stat. The average was 1,500 per employee or 2,500 per trainee. So there was a slight decrease from 2017. Maybe they do this every 2 years then. Construction had the highest spend per trainee, 4.4, just over, nearly 4,500. But the biggest increase was in the business sector. So that went up by a good 20% by the look of it. So people are willing to invest. Didn't realise our industry was that big. But you're right. It's about yep.
I'm not supposed to do that, am I? I wonder if you took the health and safety out of the construction industry, what it would be, or the training on how to lay bricks and all that sort of stuff, right? I wonder if you took that out, what it would actually be, and if you just did it on the human side, less than the skill. I'd be curious, just throwing it out there.
I would love to know that, because I think there's a lot of skill-based training rather than the human-based training. It's definitely evened up, certainly from our experience, right, with working with Claire Davis. A fifth of our staff was mental health and wellbeing in 2020, 2021. Good. So that had never really been there, not in my repertoire before anyway. Yeah. So things like that makes a real difference.
It is impressive how much has changed in that sphere in the last, 30 years since I started my first proper job. It is quite extraordinary and lovely.
It is, isn't it? Yeah, the fact that we're getting there. So I think what you said there around it needs to be part of the benefits package. So whether it is a counsellor and access to a counsellor, I've forgotten the name of the company I'm working with at the moment on management training. They've got a mental health and wellbeing app that they pay for, that people can book counselling sessions as part of it. And it's then private with them, and there's access to it if they need it. I mean, how wonderful to have that opportunity. So I will find who that was. I've got it in my notes somewhere, and I'll put the link in so that if people have got access to that as well. Cool. Okay, let's crack on to the next question. So we've now got Be Human. Oh, there you go. That's nice, and link to it. Be Human is one of the Recruiting Gym's values. I know it's ours, but what does it mean to you? Now, Katrina, this is yours, isn't it? Yes. Sorry, I got my numbers wrong. It's all right. Far away.
It's pretty well it. My whole entire book is all about, and as I said, edition 2 is coming soon. I'm so excited. It is all about putting that human first in the recruitment process. I think what has happened is we've had access to all this technology, and all we've ended up doing is just creating these barriers between us and the human being. And then if someone does get through the barrier, we treat them like an email or a message or a in-mail or whatever. We don't treat them like, oh, here's a human being who has sent me a message that I need to reply to, or here's a human being coming through the recruitment processes, and this is how I need to treat them to get them from initial contact through to accepted offer, or even starting for that matter. We just got it all asked about face. I'm probably not supposed to say that when this streams out on LinkedIn, but
this is us, the coach. We even swear on this.
Yeah, it's really funny because twice this week I've been called rude and I haven't sworn, and I'm just like, wow. It's like, usually I swear and I go, oh gosh, you're rude. But anyway, to me, this is what's happened. We've somehow got away from the fact that we as recruiters play with people's lives, and if we get it wrong, I take Louise out of where she is now, so crowdcast, and I go and place her somewhere else, and it's not a good fit. Most people are just a couple of salary checks away from being homeless. It's that scary. And so it's like, if we get that wrong, if we forget the humanity side, and I just think we have, I think so much technology has just got in the way. So to me, Be Human is every single person you're interacting with, including the unsuccessful applicants. They're a human being with thoughts, feelings, and emotions, and you have to remember that. And just on that, the end ghosting report that came out of Tribad, if you don't, close people out, if recruiters ghost, it makes 84% of people feel down or depressed. We just get irked and irritated. They feel down or depressed. So, that gives an idea of, again, that importance of being human, of treating them. Don't ghost. Exactly. Louise had that badge made just for me as well. We've all had it happen just by friends, and you see they read the message and they don't reply, and they're your friend, and how upsetting it can be. But we can't do that to humans. So that was quite a long ranty. I just suggest purchasing this, where I donated my royalties to charities. So plug it. a lot.
The link is in the chat. It's there already. Definitely do it. And
Also,
that hasn't changed.
74 of your peers helped me write this, so it's not just my opinion in there either.
Fantastic. But that hasn't changed in 30 years. The top issue, I don't know if you remember training this at Blue Arrow, Alan, but we had like the 10 things that the candidate wants, and one was to actually reply, wasn't it? Communication. They want to know, even if it's a no, let me know that I'm no good, or give me some feedback.
You think about these, right? They're within reach, these mobile phones of ours at all times. Right now, mine's telling me that my plumber has just walked down the hallway in my flat, which is hilarious. They alert us, they give us notifications, they give us an incredible amount of certainty. So if I'm going to go and have a trip to go and meet Alan, I've never met Alan before, I don't know where he lives, I can pretty well guarantee I can work it all out on my phone in seconds and get myself to his door without even needing to take anything else with me particularly. Yeah, when it comes to the recruitment process, we do pop people into this black hole of uncertainty. And this is their career, right? It's their livelihood. And we just need to remember that. If we use these,
I do think that technology also, look, it'll always have its pluses and minuses. And if you think about the word human, actually comes from the Latin humus, right, which is nothing to do with hummus that you dip a breadstick in, but actually it's based that humus actually means earth or ground. And I think if we earth ourselves, I'm not sure if groundedness is actually a word, but I think sometimes those people that aren't grounded, they become, for example, big egos, people that aren't nice people to do business with. Their characteristics change. And I think as human people, we need to be able to know the ground that we're working with, know the ground that we're working on, be comfortable with yourself and your human surroundings. But at all times, you've really got to have an awareness of the other humans around you. Show humility, be assertive when you need to, demonstrate all the characteristics that we've been given that makes us different to the animals that we share on this planet. And I think if we do that, we're showing that we're human. We're all different. We've all perhaps run training courses, we've all stood up at a lectern and delivered speeches, but we're all very, very different. And I think ultimately being human is about being true to yourself, to your values, and then adapting when you need to those people around you. The same as nature adapts, we should do that as well. And if technology can help us, but I do think sometimes that those people that walk around the high street like this, that's not the real world. For me, the real world is upper level and looking out and round. Another baby boomer comment, sorry.
He's a young baby boomer. You're only just one. You're almost an old Gen X.
Another label.
God, I love the labels.
Exactly. Right. Okay. Thank you for that input. I love when you get the etymology of words as well as to where it's come from. Didn't know that about human. I will be using that a lot as it's one
comes from a dip.
Yeah.
Comes from the dip, did you say?
Yeah, it was mentioned by a dipstick on the course.
Yes. Okay. I got a dip it like a valley. That's where my brain went. It's ground, but where's the dip coming? Right, Louise. Question 6. Getting people engaged in webinars and training sessions with the right attitude is becoming more and more difficult, especially with new starters. What tips do you have that may help? Now, let me just explain this one. I have nicked this question because this is on the L&D Facebook page. This came up, and we've all sort of been contributing to it from trainers. This is a load of trainers. There's about 300 on there now. Supporting each other and helping each other. It also came up in a webinar, no, not a webinar, a podcast that came out this week, which was the inaugural one for L&D. So please do go and find that. We'll get the link in there as well. That was from Hayley Trow. She set that up through her company. So there's going to be a podcast on L&D. So if that is your background, or if you're responsible for L&D within your business, if you're a manager, you're responsible for L&D of your people, then do go and have a listen to that. So Louise, you're probably the person that does the most webinars that I know, apart from me, maybe. So I thought this would be perfect for you.
So I do a lot of webinars, but I'm not a trainer. So I'd certainly be interested to hear what that collective mind suggested for people who are having specific training. And it came up yesterday. I was at the Global Recruiter event. I was doing a panel, my manel of 3 chaps again. But I was female. Well, I still am. And they were talking about audience members saying, I just can't get people to engage in training. So, I'm implementing new technology. The adoption's not amazing. How do I make that work? And so that's what they were talking about. We had a guy from Bullhorn, a guy from Cloud and somebody from Sonovate. And they came up with some quite nice ideas. But I think the thing is that the individual has to be brought into it. They have to want to take part, because if there's something on telly I'm not that interested in, I am also filing my nails and playing on my phone and eating my dinner. But when there's something I really want to watch, I watch it. I went to Top Gun at the cinema. I did not touch my phone or talk to anybody or do anything during that entire show. Now, why was that? Was it because Tom Cruise took his shirt off in the volleyball scene? Or was it because I just wanted to watch the entire thing? So it's getting people interested in what you're doing is the key to it. Now, that can't always be the case. So what you have to do is tricks. Alan, your training looks super fun. When you go into offices and you do that training, it looks exceptional fun, like you want to be there. Katrina, you always engage with that audience. You walk amongst people. You encourage them to ask questions. You ask them questions. It's about engagement. So if you haven't got something which is so exciting that they're just going to sit and watch, you need to engage. And on a webinar, that's tricky, isn't it? So you use the chat like we've got over here. You use the polls. You give them a reason to take part. It's kind of okay if they're doing something else at the same time, as long as you pull them back in for the important bits. And I think that's my final point, is be realistic about what you can expect of somebody. You can't train people for 7 hours a day and think they're going to be fascinated in your CRM. They're just not going to be.
Actually, that's where Crowdcast is so good. Just quickly, I know Alan was going to finish this question. I've had to give a lot of talks recently, and I'm on Zoom, but it's going out on Hopin, and I can't see any of the chat. I'm talking to the wall, and the chat does help with that engagement as well. So well done them for having that. It's lovely seeing the comments and stuff.
Yeah.
So
you're right. I think a lot of the work actually starts before the training event or before the webinar, and I think a lot of that has to be supported by your client. People don't want to see going on a course, whether it be training face-to-face or on a webinar, as a punishment because they're behind target or anything. They need to see it as an investment, part of those figures you were talking about earlier on. But I think if we can manage their expectations right from the outset. Look, I use a lot of humor. I use a lot of war stories, mine as well as others. I interact, I name and shame. I probably shouldn't ever have my training sessions recorded, because I do adapt, for example, my language according to who I'm working with. And I've been out working with a construction company this week, and this would have to have come out quite a few times. But the thing is, for example, if I do management training, the first thing I open up with, right, look, I'm going to start this off by saying I'm going to be a complete disappointment for you. I said, you are not going to leave this course being labeled an animal or a color. So if anyone wants to be a blue freaking giraffe or a red monkey, you're on the wrong course. Okay, because I don't think we need to label people. I think in recruitment, we need to be a variety of things. And I think the naming and shaming is done in a nice way. This isn't a name drop. I was training in Malta a couple of weeks ago, and on day one, I've never met these people before. One of the consultants, she folded her arms, didn't want to do the role play. She refused blankly to do the role play with me, and I sort of coaxed and nurtured, had a little bit of a laugh with her, had a word with her at tea break. By day 3, she actually won 2 out of the 3 role play challenges. She absolutely smashed it. And I think it's about us creating the right platform. And I think sometimes trainers, whoever's running, we need to sometimes suppress our expertise and give them, it's their chance to learn, it's their chance to ask the questions. And look, have fun. I do. And I think for me, the best courses are where I have fun and they have fun. If you want to engage people, be engaged. If you want them to be interested in what you're saying, be interesting. If you want people to be bored, be boring.
I'm shocked by the fact you just said, so my plumber told me off yesterday for going, F me, did you just carry that up 5 flights of stairs? He said, I can't believe how much you swear. It's like, I would fail in construction, clearly. But I think the other thing, which I think you naturally do, is you create a safe space. And be aware that you're doing that. People are learning. They're going to ask silly questions. And if you haven't created a safe space, they won't ask those silly questions. And you want those silly questions because they don't know what they don't know, or you don't know what they don't know. So that's another thing as well. Always be really honest. This is a safe space. I want to hear all the questions, no matter what they are. Encourage people.
Yeah, I like Stephen's comment.
Why can't we hear Angela?
Only boring people, because I've put her on mute. Don't want to listen to her anymore.
We can't hear her. It's amazing. I'll just close off. Are we done? Is it tea time?
Can we really not hear you, Angela?
Yeah, no.
What did you touch? Angela, do a full refresh. Just refresh your browser, and hopefully you'll come back. The session will not end while that's happening.
Hi, we'll miss you. Can we talk about it while she's not here?
Well, I said to Angela, I felt a lot more comfortable asking the questions and answering them. So there you go. Bit late now. We've all answered them.
Did we answer all of it? Did everyone vote in the poll, by the way? There is a poll there. And how much do you spend per head count per annum on an LND?
No.
Be sure and go and vote in the poll.
Hilariously, somebody said nothing and somebody said no idea. So we didn't know the answer to that question, did we? Was it you?
I'm gonna vote no idea, because I spend so much that I've never sat down and added it up.
No.
So there is only me. So
you just spend enough that it works.
I did just see my accountants, and there was quite a figure there for that. So it'll be interesting.
Are you back, Angela?
I am. What has been freaky though, as I said, I've obviously got technological gremlins this week. I've not had one webinar, Zoom, Teams, anything go right. Everything's in. The freakiest thing this time is that Louise has been on a 50-second delay for me. So she's talking away and she's still playing around with her plant. She's finished talking, everyone else is, but her mouth is going like mad. I'm still hearing it.
You look quite robotic.
You look like you're breakdancing at the moment, Angela, unless that's just my screen. But
I think it's home time. Who's off to the pub?
Must be.
Well, that was the last question. We have finished.
Did we do it? What time
were
we
meant
to
end?
Issues.
No, now.
We were meant to end in 3 minutes, so I think that's pretty
awesome.
impressive.
Yeah. 4 very talkative people.
I'm very good with my timings.
Well done, us. Yeah. Well done.
Actually,
well
that is a training tip. Is if you want people to be engaged, tell them how long something's going to last, and make sure it doesn't last any longer.
And tell them when the breaks are.
Yeah.
Women especially want to know when the breaks are. That was grossly generalising, but we do.
I also find that confusing them helps, because it's when you're setting up the room or something, and someone pops in and says, "Oh, Alan, what time are we going to be finishing today?" Right, because you know that they just want to finish earlier. I said, well, look, it's normally 9 till 5, but the earlier we start, the later we finish, okay? And because of how I say it, they just walk away and go, okay, fine.
Now I'm trying to work out if Katrina has got a webinar bingo going on, because we've had dogs, we've had bicycles. We've had plumbers, we've had deliveries.
The plumber's not here. That's my ex-husband.
Is the gentleman your ex-husband with the bike?
Yes. And I'm moving into the flat where the plumber is. Hence the boxes. How am I going with the bingo?
I think you've got a line on your own, at least.
Oh, so is the plumber your new...
No, the plumber...
Oh, okay. Just wondered. No, when you said I'm moving next door with the plumber.
No, I didn't.
I'm getting rid of the triathlete.
Alan, clean those ears out, and especially that mouth. No, I'm moving into my flat finally after 4 years, and the plumber is doing the ensuite bathroom. So
it's safe, Katrina.
It's not like I haven't told the world I live with my ex-husband, and everyone then thinks that's weird.
I didn't know that. I must admit.
Really? Oh my God, I've lived with him since, well, obviously for a long time, but I moved back in 2013 for the chocolate Labrador, who then lived till 16. And then I couldn't get my tenant out of my flat to move into my flat. Then she finally moved out because she'd bought. And then now I'm waiting for it to be renovated. So, it does sound like a smutty movie, Stephen, but we get on great. We should just never have got married. It's as simple as
all over YouTube. Well, it is now.
All I
Yes,
can
brilliant.
say is learn from Richard and myself. If we could stay talking over a dog, please don't play your children off each other. There you go. I made it into a learning point.
Perfect. Perfect ending. Be human, be lovely,
Be
be
human.
kind. Fantastic. Thank you, everyone. I've loved that. So we will get you back on near at the end of the year again. We run these every couple of weeks. If you've got questions, please do share them with us. And we'll get coaches in to ask them. I need to get the legal one. We need to focus on that because, yeah, that's come up a couple of times recently where people didn't realise they need to follow the law. Hello. Right. Have a great weekend, everyone.
Thank you.
Enjoy
And
the
don't forget,
sunshine.
watch LinkedIn next Thursday for the video of me, whether or not I do my challenge.
Okay.
So just share what your challenge is, Alan.
What's your challenge?
On my 60th birthday, I will be doing 60 press-ups in 60 seconds.
Good luck.
I couldn't even do one. Well done, you.
I'm on 2 right now, but I've got a few days.
Give us a post. Let's see how you're doing. They must have been buffed up. Yeah, there you go. That is literally Alan's picture on his recruiter fit on the t-shirt. Love it. We will all be watching.
Have a good
Send
one.
us all
Lovely
links.
to see you all. Take
Bye.
care.
You too.
Bye. Bye.
Bye. Oh, look at that. We've got 3 seconds left.
How do I log out? What button?